Hey, good evening there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brandon Morvillius. Alongside here with me is cameraman Jordan Redbeard McCoy, live here on the WHS Network here on YouTube.com. Here with your 2020 IHSAA Class 2A Sectional 40 Girls Basketball Tournament Preview Show. Now, again, this is just going to be used for the opportunity to, again, just give you the lowdown and updates on all the sectional teams that Wapahani potentially could be facing coming up this week. The sectional actually starts tonight at LaPel High School, so we're doing this kind of ahead of time. It's going to be an interesting tournament. It usually always is. A couple of new, new things, or new teams, I guess, if you will, to the mix. Alexandria is now the new team that's been placed in our sectional bracket this year. It's always been primarily just us. I know last year it was us and also Frankton, LaPel, Sheridan, which Sheridan is no longer in our sectional. Elwood's in there now. They've been in there now for, I believe, 2 years, I think.
I think so.
And then obviously Monroe Central and so on and so forth. So it should be a very interesting sectional when we get things underway, which, speaking of which, Wapahani got the first round bye. That's always fantastic. The Lady Raiders will play against the winner of LaPel and Elwood on Friday night. That will be a start time of 6 p.m. Again, all sectional 40 action will be held at LaPel High School. Again, Wapahani did receive that first round bye and will play either LaPel or Elwood at 6 p.m. Friday night, February the 7th. Now, Monroe Central, they play Alexandria in the first round. The winner of that game will then play Frankton on the probably right around 8 o'clock or so on Friday night as well, February the 7th. Again, those teams right there, LaPel, obviously we've seen, Monroe Central we've seen, Frankton we've seen. The other two we haven't, which we'll get into that here later on. But should be a very, very interesting sectional. It always is every year, and we don't expect anything less than that this year. But we're going to start off here. The Wapahani Lady Raiders finished the regular season 14-9 on the year. Pretty good overall season record. Kind of faltered right there towards the end, ended up losing 4 out of the last 5 games. We had a very tough schedule. Down the stretch you had Yorktown in the county championship game. You had Monroe Central. You had Union City. You had LaPel and Shenandoah, all very top-tier teams. So kind of judged where we were a little bit, and I don't really think those 4 losses even really kind of reflect on the potential that we could have won those other 4 games. Very easily could have went potentially 5-0 during that 5-game stretch right there. But still, nonetheless, a very good regular season here for us. Points per game, 50.2 points per game, allowed 40.6. So it's always good to be on the plus side of the scoring margin there. Also, the Raiders 36% from the field, 401 of 1,120. Also from the three-point line, 140 of 370, good for 30%. And then finally here, the free throws. The Raiders were 163 of 269, good for 61% from the charity stripe. Now, rebounds, all these other different statistics are always so important. So the Raiders averaged 27.3 rebounds a game, also 11.2 assists, 9 steals, and we turned it over 12 times a game. I think as the season kind of went along there towards the end, things kind of went haywire a little bit for us, but still, we relatively took pretty good care of the basketball. Now, again, some players to watch for here. Madison Thompson had a very, very strong season, averaged right around 15 points a game, ended up being 14.9 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, also 3 assists and 2.5 steals per game. 42% field goal percentage, also 39% from beyond the arc, which is best on the team, 56 of 144, and also a 78% free throw shooter. So Thompson, again, kind of the spark plug there if you're Wapahani Lady Raiders. Also, Cameron Wise coming in here as a freshman has been very valuable here to this Lady Raider basketball team. Finished the regular season 9.2 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, also 30% field goal percentage, 28% from beyond the arc, and also 60% from the free throw line, 31 of 52. Has some range with her game. Obviously, can do her thing on the inside, can extend it from beyond the arc there as well. So that's always a key player to have that not only can do their job in a post, but also can step their game out a little bit more and make those post players guard you on the defensive end. Also here, Lexi Wolf has put together a fantastic senior year, especially down the stretch. I think she finished the regular season up very nicely. I think confidence started to build there for her. So Lexi Wolf finished the season 6.6 points a game, also 3 rebounds per ball game, a 34% field goal percentage, also 19 of 75 from beyond the arc, and 74% free throw shooter. Lastly here, a couple other ladies here. Layla Lee, 2.2 points per game, also 3.2 rebounds. And Reese Baker, 4.7 points a game. She was big time coming off the bench. She did start a couple games there as well. But she's a threat from beyond the arc, 23 of 78, 29% from behind the three-point line. Then Jalen Willis, also another post player here for Wapahani, averages 2.9 points per game and 3.2 rebounds. So again, that's the Wapahani Lady Raiders. Next, we'll switch on here to the Lapel Lady Bulldogs, which we just played last week, in which Lapel unfortunately beat us 53-42. That was on January the 28th at Lapel High School. So should be an interesting matchup potentially if we have to face them again. Obviously, if you're Wapahani, you want to get them back, and especially no better time of the year than sectional time to beat them. But Lapel finished the season here a 16-6 record, averaging 55.5 points a game, only allowing 41.7. Also 41% field goal percentage overall. That's 436 of 1,072. Also, 29% from beyond the arc. Not a big-time three-point shooting team. They do have a couple of nice three-point shooters, but they don't shoot it a ton. But that's just kind of to recollect on things there for the three-point percentage. Free throw line, 64%. They're 239 of 376. Also, 32 rebounds a game, 16.5 assists. Also, 10.3 steals, and then they turn it over just a little over 15 times a game as well. Again, some other players to watch for here if you're Lapel. 12 points a game and 7.5 rebounds a game here for McKinley Taylor. By far probably Lapel's best player, followed by Morgan Knepp, which we'll get into here in just a moment. But McKinley Taylor, a 35% three-point shooter, 23 of 65, also 73% free throw shooter on the season. So, again, that is McKinley Taylor. Next up here we have Lily Daniels, another young lady that has really got it done here for Lapel on a season, averaging 9.1 points per game as well as 3.4 steals. Also a 31% three-point shooter, 30 for 97 on the season, and also 69% from the free throw line. One of their biggest post players here, Ashlyn Allman, a young lady that averages 9 points a game as well as 6.1 rebounds, a 53% field goal percentage, and also wrapping it up with 54% from the free throw line. And then lastly here we have Delaney People, 7.6 rebounds to go along with 5.7 rebounds. Or I think I might have got that wrong. 7.6 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, also 3.2 assists. And then Morgan Knepp, again, the guard here, kind of another one that kind of is the spark plug here for Lapel. Averages 6.3 points per game, also 3.7 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and is a percentage shooter of 38% from field goal and 73% from the free throw line. So, again, she's kind of that spark plug there for Lapel that really gets that Lady Bulldogs team going, followed by with all these other fine young ladies that are fantastic basketball players. Then lastly here to wrap things up, you have the Elwood Panthers, record of 6-17 on the year. Had a rough go of things here in the 2019-20 season. But they wrapped up the regular season at 39.5 points per game, averaging 57.2 points allowed per game. So, when you're 18 points in the red, that is obviously not too good. Tough break there for the Panthers. Also, 27% field goal percentage, 309 of 1,152 from the field, 19% from the three-point line, and not a whole lot better from the free throw line, 52%, which is 230 of 439. They do average 39.3 rebounds a game, which is quite an astonishing number, which you'll see why here in just a second. Average 7.7 assists, 11.2 steals a game, and then they turn it over 22 times a game. Now, again, to bolster that rebounding stat, here you go, folks. Players to watch for: Jaylee Crawford, a fine young lady here for the Panthers, averaging 18.2 points per game, along with 14.7 rebounds. So that right there, I mean, it's a one-woman wrecking crew right there. But again, Jaylee Crawford there getting it done, a 51% field goal percentage, 58% from the free throw line. And then the other young lady here, Claudia Lavelle, 8.4 points per game, along with 4.4 rebounds, a 20% three-point percentage, and 50% from the free throw line. So again, those were the only two players that I would really highly take a look at there from Elwood's standpoint. But folks, actually we're going to step aside here for a quick break. Again, we'll step aside here with some more of your IHSAA Sectional 40 Girls Basketball Tournament preview show coming up right after this break.
We know the right way to get you where you need to go. We'll be the wheels underneath you, out on the road. We're driven to give you the best service. We're driven cause we know you deserve it. Stoops, we're driven to be the best. Stoops, we're driven to be the best.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back live here on the WHS Network here on YouTube.com. Again, here with the 2020 IHSAA Class 2A Sectional 40 Girls Basketball Tournament Preview Show. As we'll go ahead and switch on over here to our cameraman, Jordan Redbeard McCoy. Is going to give you the lowdown here on Frankton, as well as Monroe Central and Alexandria. So go ahead and take it away, big guy.
Thanks, Marv. Yeah, we'll start with the Frankton Lady Eagles. They finished the season 16-7 on the year. They allow 40 points per game while scoring 52.5 points per game. Field goal percentage, they're 41%. That's good for 458 of 1,122 shots. Three-point percentage, they're 29%, 96 of 330. From the free throw line, they're 70%, 190 of 272. They get 25 rebounds per game, 12 assists per game, 10 steals per game, and they turn the ball over 16 times per game. Some players to watch for: Addie Gardner, she gets 9 points per game, 1 rebound per game, and 1.7 assists per game, while shooting 39% from the field. Next, we have Lauren Bates. She gets 8 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and getting 3 assists per game. Then we have Ava Gardner. She gets 7.8 points per game, 1.6 rebounds per game, 1.9 assists per game, while shooting 38% from the field and 37% from three-point line. Next, we have the Alexandria Lady Tigers. They're 10-13 on the year. They score 51 points per game while allowing 53.4, so a little bit in the red. From field goal percentage, they're 31%, 403 for 1,301. Three-point line, they're 23%, 99 of 431. The free throw line, they're 269 of 453, good for 59%. They get 35 rebounds per game, 10 assists per game, 13 steals per game, and they turn the ball over 23 times per game. Some players to watch for: first, we got Reese Van Blair. She gets 15 points per game and 6 rebounds per game while shooting 46% from field goal percentage. Next, we have Kirsten Van Horn. She gets 9 points per game while getting 5 rebounds per game. She shoots 31 of 86, which is good for 36% from the three-point line, and she's a 73% free throw shooter. Next, we have Jada Stansberry. 8 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, and she gets 4 steals per game. Next, we have the Monroe Central Lady Golden Bears. They're 18-4 on the season. They get 57.7 points per game while allowing 40.2 points per game. From field goal percentage, they're 39%. They get 355 of 907. From the three-point line, they're 27%, which is 81 of 300. Free throw line, they're 69%, which is 209 of 304. They get 23.5 rebounds per game, 9.7 assists per game, 10 steals per game, and they turn the ball over 10.1 times per game. Some players to watch for: Hannah Bolton. She gets 20 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, and 3.3 steals per game while shooting 43% from the field. We have Gabby Beckham. She gets 7.6 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game. She shoots 37% from the field, and she's 14 of 53 from the three-point line, which is good for 24%. Finally, we have Allie Morrison. She gets 5.1 points per game on 4.1 rebounds per game. She shoots 39% from the field, and she's a 63% free throw shooter. Hope that wasn't too long-winded for you.
No, not at all. I'll tell you. Well, actually, you might have taken a little too long. I mean, my gosh, you had a lot to say. But nonetheless, here, folks, again, we just wanted to spend a little time with all you fine folks out there in Raider Nation, just to kind of get acclimated into sectional play. Obviously, that starts tonight. This is Tuesday night. And so we're going to get things going here. That's no question. With this time of the year, it's so important to be playing your best game. And, again, down the stretch, we had some tough ball games against some very tough opponents. I already talked about where LaPel beat us last week on January the 28th. We also lost earlier on the season back on December 17th. Frankton beat us by a final score of 43-30. And then Monroe Central also beat us just about a week and a half ago at Monroe Central, 59-49. So those are the only three opponents that we've played against in this sectional. So it should be very interesting to see how we potentially could figure into that equation this time around, because we could potentially face at least two of those three teams. With LaPel, if they beat Elwood tonight, they will take on us Friday night at 6 o'clock. Obviously, Monroe Central, if they beat Alexandria, which to all estimations they more than likely should, then they will play against Frankton on Friday night later on after our game. So it should be a very interesting tournament, especially come semifinal round. Now, again, the Sectional 40 championship game will be on Saturday, February the 8th. That will be a start time of 7:30. So obviously, Lord willing, hope and pray that Wapahani can beat either Elwood or LaPel on Friday night. Then we'll be back at LaPel again Saturday night with the Sectional 40 championship game. So hopefully this was all a little bit helpful for all of you. Again, just wanted to kind of get in touch here a little bit, give you all the lowdown here on all the teams, and from a team standpoint and then an individual standpoint of what players to really watch for, because there's obviously a lot of good teams in there and a lot of very good players as well that you really have to watch for, that you got to key in on here if you're Wapahani in order to be successful and in order and really have the availability to win a championship. So we hope all of you can come out and support the Lady Raider basketball team. Again, we will be there broadcasting come Friday night. We're not sure if we're going to be live, and I know when we was there last week we couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work for us because it blocked us, and so we're going to see if we can find our way around the security. We're going to talk to the school a little bit more about getting that potential to work for us, but we just want to spend some time again here with you. Hopefully this all was helpful, and again, we'll make sure and look towards Friday night being a very special night here for your Wapahani Lady Raiders. So again, this has been the 2020 IHSAA Class 2A Sectional 40 Girls Basketball Tournament Preview Show. Again, make sure stay tuned Friday night. Lady Raider basketball coming your way. So again, I'm Brandon Morvillius. Alongside here with me is cameraman Jordan Redbeard McCoy. Thank all of you for watching, and good night here on the WHS Network.